Just because you've pled guilty and served your sentence doesn't always mean the case is actually over. What do I mean? Well, here's an example. I had a client who had pleaded guilty to marijuana trafficking or a distribution offense a while back. He had a different lawyer, and that lawyer didn't provide him with adequate legal immigration advice. This person was not a U.S. citizen. As a result, this person had adverse consequences. The immigration court ordered him to be removed. That removal was stayed for certain reasons. But anyway, he was here in a very precarious situation, subject to being removed from the country at any given time. Now, this is a person who had lived in the United States for a long time, really cared a lot about his life here. He had kids, he had a family, so it was a big deal for him. So he hired an appellate lawyer, not me, somebody before, to do a motion for new trial, or a motion to try to undo the plea. Now, that lawyer did the motion, and the motion failed. So then years later, he hired me, and I did a second motion for new trial, and unfortunately, we lost. We went up to the appeals court and asked them to overturn the denial. The appeals court upheld the denial. So we lost again. Then we tried to get the Supreme Judicial Court to take the case. They declined. So then we tried to get a little bit creative and made a little bit different of a legal argument, and then we filed his third motion for new trial, and that failed. So then we went back to the appeals court, but before we filed a brief, we asked the court in the appeals court to stay the appeal, so that way we could do a motion to reconsider. So we went back to the trial court and asked the judge to reconsider his denial of the third motion for new trial. Judge granted us a hearing, and then today we find out that the judge allowed the motion for new trial, meaning that the case kind of reopens, the client's plea goes away, so the conviction is cleared from the client's record, and then we heard from the prosecutor to tell us that they are not going to go forward on the case. So the case will be completely dismissed. Took a little bit of persistence and some patience from the client, but ultimately it is a great result, clearing the path for the client in terms of his immigration quest to become ultimately a U.S. citizen.